All right, welcome back to the Find Your 20 Coaching Insight Show, coming to you live from the Columbia River. I'm down here in the Tri-Cities, Washington, and my daughter and I are at a soccer tournament. She's at a soccer tournament. So I thought I'd record it in a cool area where we got the river behind us and just share some tips from my coaching sessions this week. And as you know, if you're a business owner who's looking for more focus, more profits, and more time, you've come to the right place, because this is the show where I share the top insights from my recent coaching sessions with my clients to help you throw out the 80% that's holding you back in your business so that you can build a business that you actually love owning and a lifestyle that you're excited about. That's right. If your business was these Rainier cherries, I bought some cherries today to eat while I was watching my daughter. She's afraid that she's sitting right behind the camera. She's afraid I'm going to eat them all. If your business was these 5 Rainier cherries, we would throw out 4 of them and keep 1. And that would be the most important one. So I'm not going to throw them out because my daughter wants them, but I'm going to put them back in this cup and I'm going to hand them to her. And I'm going to eat 1 because I love Rainier cherries. So today's featured resource is You Need a Budget, or YNAB. And YNAB is my personal budgeting software. It's what I use for my business and for my personal finances. It's super easy to use. I love the methodology. I love how simple it is to use, how intuitive it is to follow their 4 steps. And I also love how easy it is to use their mobile and their desktop apps. It syncs, they're super intuitive, they work really well, and it allows me to track my finances in a way that really has changed things for me. I started using it when I quit working as an employee and started my own business. And I went from work or getting paid every 2 weeks to once a month. And YNAB really allowed me to make that transition and to make sure that I could still take care of my family 3 weeks into the month when I only got paid once a month. So if you would like to get a 34-day free trial, and I believe they do 34 days so that you can roll it over to a new month, see how it works month to month, go to findyour20.com/YNAB, findyour20.com/YNAB, and you can get your free trial there. Let's jump into this week's tips. The first one is how to get bonus opens to your emails absolutely free. I was talking to a client this week, and I shared with her something that I do fairly consistently, and it's something that I've done for years, and that is to resend each of my emails to unopens. So what that means is if I send an email on Monday, I will resend that same email with a new subject line on Thursday, and I will use my email provider, and I will say, I only want to send it to the people that didn't open the first email. And the beauty of this is you can change the subject line. They never saw the initial email. So you can send the exact same email, and you usually, my experience has been, I usually get 10 to 15% more opens from that second email. And they're really bonus. You know, it's not anywhere near my regular open rate. However, it doesn't have to be, because all of the people that typically open it already opened it. These are bonus. These are people that would not have opened the email otherwise. And so you can take your open rate from, say, 30% to 45 or 50% just by sending to unopens. So I would highly recommend that this be something that you do in your business. If you have an email list, and if you don't, I would recommend you start an email list. Make sure that every single email, or at least the really important ones, make sure you resend those emails to people that didn't open it. And typically I would recommend, if you're under a time crunch, you can do it 24 hours later. I would actually recommend 48 to 72 hours later. That gives people enough time to open the email. And by 48 to 72 hours, if they haven't opened it yet, they're probably not going to. I mean, how many times do you go back in your email inbox and open something from 3 days ago? It's very rare. So you can send it again with a different subject line, and you can get 10 to 15% typically more opens on that email, which means more people go into your blog post, more people clicking on your sales page, more people buying whatever it is that you're offering, more people go into your video, whatever it is that you're offering in your email, more people will see that and more people will engage with your content. So make sure to resend each email you send to unopens, or at the very least, if you send once a week, I would highly recommend you do this for every single email. If you email more than once a week, the email is most important. Resend that one. Another quick tip with this, I would recommend that when you switch the subject line, you try a different type of subject line. So if you use the curiosity subject line, maybe you use a statement subject line. Or if you use a statement subject line, maybe you use a question subject line, something different to catch their attention. All right. So the second tip that I want to share with you this week is something. As I was talking to one of my clients, we were talking about, she was preparing her list for an upcoming webinar. And we were talking about ways to engage the people that signed up a week prior for that webinar. And one of the things that came out of that discussion was something that I hadn't thought of. I hadn't decided to do. It wasn't something I planned on saying, but as we discussed it, that's one of the beauty of these coaching sessions. Sometimes it just organically comes based on the conversation. We had this conversation about, what if she sent 2 or 3 different emails that had questions that would prepare her audience, prepare those registrants to be ready for the webinar. So with her, it was asking questions about how, if you don't solve this problem that her webinar was going to help them to overcome, and that her offer helps them to overcome. If you don't solve this problem, what are you going to miss out on? What are you going to miss out on with your family? What are you going to miss out on in your own life? What are you going to not be able to do? And we had 2 or 3 questions that we asked, and that she's going to add into the sequence before her people get to the webinar. And my theory is that by doing this, that she's going to be able to prime the pump as far as the gap that exists between where her audience is now and where they can be if they utilize her program. And it will help them to come engaged and ready to utilize the things that she's going to teach in that webinar. So my recommendation to you is to use the emails, use the time between when somebody signs up for a webinar or a workshop or a training. Use that time to prepare them to be ready for the content you're going to share with them. Help them to start thinking about the things you're going to share with them. Help them to start thinking about what they want, maybe their goals, their aspirations, or on the flip side, what they're going to miss out on, what their challenges are. Identify the top challenges so that they're ready to come to that webinar. And my other theory is, by doing this, I think it's going to increase her show up rate, because people are going to be looking forward. They have been thinking about it. They've invested time in preparing for this webinar, and they're going to show up. So that's tip number 2. Make sure that you're preparing your registrants to be fully engaged in the webinar with how you engage with them before. All right. The third thing, the third tip, the third strategy that I want to share with you isn't so much a strategy, but I had a conversation with someone this week, and full disclosure, she wasn't a client. It's a prospect. It's somebody that I'll probably end up working with in the future. But as we were talking, I told her that one of the things I loved about talking with her and hearing about her business was the passion she had for what she does. She had a passion that was undeniable. And I told her, I said, this passion is something that's going to attract the right people. And as I was thinking about it, I think I even said this to her, but one of the things I want to share with you today is, you can't teach passion. I can't teach passion. I can't teach you to be passionate about what you're doing. You have to find that passion within yourself. And if you find that passion, nothing else matters. If you find that passion, nothing will stop you. You can keep going. And I noticed this passion when I was talking to her, because I said to her, I said, what happens if you don't accomplish what you want to in a year? What does that look like? What are you missing out on? And she said, honestly, I just keep doing it because this is what I want to do. This is who I want to help. These are the things that I want to help them. And it was at that point that I realized that you can't teach that passion. You can't teach somebody to be so passionate that they're going to go forward no matter what challenges they have, no matter what goes wrong, no matter how slowly something builds, they're going to keep going. And you can't teach that passion, but I would encourage you to find that passion within you for the business that you're in. And if you can't find it for the business you're in, it may be time to ask if that's the business you should be doing. Maybe you need to be doing something else. Because I can tell you there's been things that I've had passion for, and there's things that I haven't. And when I don't have that passion, it's hard to get up in the morning and do the work. It's hard to get to my computer. It's hard to want to write the content. It's hard to want to create the content. It's hard to want to talk to people about it. But when you're passionate about it, when you're passionate about things like I'm passionate about helping business owners to find more focus, more profits, and more time, then everything else takes care of itself. You can push forward. You can move through the challenging times. You can move through the setbacks. You can move through the days where it's hard. So you can't teach passion. I would encourage you to find that passion within yourself. So to recap today, we talked about sending emails to your unopens, resending your email to your unopens to get bonus opens. We've talked about preparing your registrants to be fully engaged with your webinar or your workshop or whatever it is that you're doing by asking good questions in the emails leading up to it so that they can be thinking about it and preparing. We also talked about finding the passion in your business so that you can push through the trying times, so you can push through the struggling times. If you'll do those three things, it'll make a massive impact in your business. And I want to just say, if you haven't yet, make sure that you grab your copy of my book, Find Your 20, by going to findyour20.com/grab your copy, and we'll drop a copy in the mail to you ASAP. And by the way, it costs less than if you get it on Amazon. I will tell you, like I said, I'm out of town, so if you order it, by the time this goes live, I'm probably back home. So we'll get one in the mail for you ASAP. You can also grab the audio version of the book for free by going to findyour20.com/free audio. And I'll send you the audio version of the book absolutely free right there. And as always, please, 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 if you would, leave a rating and review for the podcast on your favorite podcast player app. It makes a big difference in helping people to find the podcast. And I love hearing from those of you that leave reviews. So please do that. And also, one last thing. If you know somebody that has a podcast, or if you have a podcast, I'm always looking for places to share more about Find Your 20 and the methodology that helps business owners to get that focus, those profits in more time. If you know somebody, or if you are looking for somebody to interview on your podcast, I would be happy to, and I would love to share these things with your audience or with their audience. So please reach out, mark@findyour20.com. And either send a recommendation for a podcast that you think I'd be great on, or even better, send me an introduction to the host. That would be fantastic. And as always, until next time, get out there and chase your dreams.